Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of Qualcomm Incorporated, Derek Aberle.
Well, that was pretty cool. As you probably took from the captions there, all those video clips were actually shot with 4K enabled Snapdragon powered phones. And remember that, because I'll come back to it a little bit later in the presentation this morning to show you a little bit more from that contest. I want to welcome everybody. It's really exciting to be here. Obviously, Mobile World Congress, one of the most important shows for us and a number of other companies of the year. I thought actually with an early start on the first day of the show, I was going to be the only one here, but it's good to see that we got a relatively full room. So we've got a lot of really exciting things to talk about this morning. I'm going to try to get through kind of a lot of content because we have not only a lot of announcements at the show and a lot of really cool demos at the booth, but we've also made a couple of announcements over the last few weeks that are important. I want to talk a little bit about as well. First, I wanted to start just by talking a little bit about Qualcomm, which I think informs a lot of the stuff that you'll see from us, not only at this show, but going forward. You know, really the DNA of the company is we look for hard problems that are confronting the industry, and we try to invest upstream of those to figure out solutions that we can then make available to help drive new use cases for everybody in the industry. And we've had a proven track record of doing that over multiple different phases of the company's existence. Obviously, very well known for kind of the first chapter in our life of digitizing mobile communications. And I don't know how many people know this, but actually in the mid-90s, Qualcomm actually thought about how people were going to want to use devices like smartphones in the future. And we actually put the internet protocols into the CDMA standard before any of the operators actually even understood how they would be used. And nobody was asking for it. And we've looked at those types of challenges throughout the history of the company, and those are the way we approach problems. So as we moved then to trying to revolutionize computing and moving it from the desktop to the mobile device, that was another transformation of the company, really, but it leveraged the investments that we had made earlier in the company's history, and now we're really going through that again, as we do continue to see very strong growth in the smartphone market, and we're very excited about a lot of the innovation that's coming there, and I will talk a lot about that today. But we also see a very big opportunity for the company to really move mobile technology into other segments, the Internet of Everything, edge of the network. We're starting to talk a lot about that over the last couple of years, and I'll probably be a little lighter on that this session than we did at CES, but I'll highlight a couple of recent successes there as well. So one of the big challenges that you all know is facing the industry, and we started talking about this probably 3 to 4 years ago, is the tremendous thirst for data on devices. And we're seeing that broadly across all segments. And now as the emerging markets really take off in a meaningful way, this is the first time that most people in the emerging markets are getting on the internet really on a mobile device. And so there's a very, very large challenge here. We've approached this through a number of different ways. We looked at it and said, we're going to continue to invest heavily in trying to improve the radio, and that's both on Wi-Fi and LTE. We're going to look for better ways to use spectrum by densifying the networks. But we also need to have more spectrum available to really mount this challenge. And so what we've started to do over the last, probably, I think we started first talking about LTE in the unlicensed band late 2013, and I've got some updates on the progress we've been making there as well. But we're not just focused on LTE. We have very large investments and a very large business around Wi-Fi. And I think the really exciting thing is we see tremendous opportunity to bring all these different radio technologies together and all these different spectrum positions together to really deliver the best user experience for consumers going forward at the lowest cost. So what you'll see at the show is a number of demos around LTE in the unlicensed band, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we're also showing a couple of very important demos on Wi-Fi. One is the ability actually to hand over voice and video calls from Wi-Fi to LTE and vice versa. And that's obviously for operators that have both a Wi-Fi position as well as a mobile position. This is giving them the ability to really harness the value of the best possible radio that's available at a given time and utilize the spectrum that is most efficient. The other thing we're demoing in the booth, which is actually the first demonstration of this as well, is aggregating data channels or data feeds from Wi-Fi and LTE at the mobile into a single the device, bring those two radios together. And that's actually the first time that that's been demoed, and you'll see that at the booth as well. So as you look ahead, I think it's important to understand that operators and the wireless ecosystem in general are going to have to leverage all of these technologies together to really address successfully the 1000x data challenge. So LTE-U, or LTE, the unlicensed band. Sometimes people also refer to this as licensed assisted access. So there's a few different acronyms, unfortunately, floating around here. But essentially, this is the idea of taking LTE and just using it in unlicensed spectrum. Now again, we started talking about this and socializing this around the industry about a year and a half ago. But now what you're actually seeing is a lot of traction for the technology and commercial products coming into existence. So we recently announced kind of an end-to-end solution. We're going to be supporting LTE-U in our small cell chipsets, and we're also making available a commercial RF transceiver for LTE-U for the mobile side. And we expect, given the traction that we're seeing around the industry, that these solutions will be deployed starting in 2016. You'll also probably hear some news at the show from Verizon and a number of other companies that have gotten together and really started looking at minimum performance specifications and looking at the issue of whether there's interference between LTE and Wi-Fi when you deploy that in the unlicensed band. And one of the other demos that we announced a couple weeks ago, and you will also see at the booth, is we've been able to demonstrate that LTE-U is actually a better neighbor in the unlicensed band than even another Wi-Fi access point. So not only does it give you higher performance, we think about 3x of what Wi-Fi delivers under many circumstances, but there really is no interference issue at all, and we've been able to demonstrate that through our testing at Qualcomm, and we're making that available here in the booth as well. So very excited about that. I think it's going to be an integral part of using all the spectrum assets that are available to really address some of the data challenges we're facing as an industry. So we shift gears a little bit to talk about, this is a theme I think you've heard from us over the last year or 2 years. We see this enormous opportunity to take the investments and the scale in the design cycles that are demanded from mobile and really leverage those investments to other industries that are going to adopt, we think, in a very big way, mobile technology. And obviously, automotive is a big one. We're seeing a lot of traction in wireless or mobile health, but it's very a broad set of areas, including wearables, smart homes, networking, a broad set of initiatives. And we spent quite a bit of time talking about some of the traction at CES, so I was going to really cover just a couple of points here. In automotive, we've done a couple of things over the last couple of months. One is yesterday we announced a technology partnership with the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team. We think there's a huge opportunity there. As you know, Formula One tends to be one of the places that the leading edge automotive technologies are really developed and optimized because of the extreme conditions that they're trying to put the vehicles through. And then usually then, several years later, you'll see those things show up in commercial vehicles. So we've initiated a partnership with Mercedes. Very excited about that. We're going to be focused on a number of different areas, including sensor networks on the vehicle, also real-time data transmission of getting data off the vehicle, and wireless charging as well. So those are just a few of the examples, and you'll see that partnership over the next few years probably evolve and look at other things as well. The other thing we announced is we've really broadened out the connectivity roadmap of LTE for the vehicle. So obviously, we've had a long history of working with the automotive industry, in particular around connectivity, probably going back over 10 years. And there's a number of vehicles already on the road with cellular modems in them. But all the auto suppliers are really looking to aggressively drive connectivity through the entire fleet. of their vehicles. And so we needed to look at more of a roadmap of LTE modems that could address all the various vehicle tiers. And so you'll see us now deliver at the highest tier our X12 modem for automotive, all the way down to the X5 for more of the entry level modems for automotive. So we continue to see a lot of traction. We're obviously working also very hard on infotainment and navigation and safety, like the SRC. And you'll see if you come by the booth, we have a demonstration vehicle there that really showcases a number of those technologies as well. So very, very excited about that opportunity. Wearables is another one where I think a lot of people have been talking about wearables. People are experimenting, I think, with a number of different form factors. But really, we've been very fortunate to really be helping to drive this new segment. And if you look across the wearable devices that are actually shipping today, Qualcomm solutions, and in particular the Snapdragon 400, is really powering most of those devices. And there's just a couple of new ones that were announced in the last day or so. I'm actually wearing the LG Urbane, which uses the Snapdragon 400. It's the first LTE-enabled wearable, and they announced that yesterday. And they're actually utilizing the WebOS on this device. Also, obviously, we've had a lot of traction in the Android Wear community, and Huawei just announced a pretty big initiative around a new Android Wear wearable yesterday, and that's also powered by the Snapdragon 400. So very excited about a couple of new opportunities there. I think you're going to see a lot of evolution and innovation in this segment in the coming years. Healthcare, let me just hit this quickly. We've continued to build out the ecosystem. I think really Qualcomm is positioned to really drive the evolution of mobile health as we try to find ways to get people out of the hospitals more quickly and keep them in a lower cost treatment environment. And we've launched in the US and Europe the business, and we'll continue to expand that over the coming years. But we've also announced a couple of new partnerships here in Europe. One is with CHU Limoges, which is a hospital that is really going to look at going into rural areas and treating people remotely as ways to keep them out of the hospitals, keep them healthier, and in particular in places where there's aging populations. And then the TBS group in the UK has also selected TUNET to be the back-end platform to drive their telehealth initiatives as well. So we've now got close to 500 members in the Qualcomm Life ecosystem, and really continue to see a big opportunity there going forward. So let me shift back to kind of the core smartphone business. We're very fortunate to be in a very strong leadership position within the industry, given the investments that we've made in the past, and we really feel like we're now able to take that position and extend our leadership. We announced our 5th generation LTE modem, which supports Cat 10. That was back in November. We're also showing the first demonstration here at Mobile World Congress of Cat 11, which supports 600 megabits per second download data rate. So very excited about that. So continue to see a lot of innovation across the modem tiers within our lineup. And the scale obviously allows us to make these investments and really drive these technologies quickly. We shipped about 920 million chipsets in calendar year 14 and expect that business to continue to grow going forward. So one of the things we announced a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to go through all the detail because we intentionally tried to announce that before Mobile World Congress to give everybody a chance to get some of this data. But we continue to innovate very broadly across a whole suite of modem tiers, and from the premium tier, latest modem with Cat 10, soon to be Cat 11, all the way down to the entry tier. And so we've done a couple of things. We rolled out a new naming convention really to help simplify the modem tier so people could more easily understand them. And then we also decided to basically extend the Snapdragon brand, which we really had focused more around the MSM, to also cover the modem solutions. And so going forward, you'll hear us talk about Snapdragon both as an integrated SoC as well as a standalone modem. But a lot of innovation going here, and I think the key point is we continue to invest and take the leadership position at the high tier and waterfall those features down. Not only the modem, talk a little bit now about the processor as well. And that's really been a key part of the strategy for the chip business, and you'll see us continue to do that. Our latest A10, which I'll come back to, we've explained quite a bit about that in recent months. It's really redefining the premium tier segment from a feature set standpoint. But then again, we're driving aggressively not only the modem features, but also the features down into the 600 and 400 series, and even down to the 200 series processors. And really that, again, allows us to have this very broad suite of solutions that can cover a broad range of things. And we'll continue to quickly drive what used to be 800 series feature sets down into the 600 and 400 series chipsets as well. And you might have noticed that actually in the 600 series, we're using the latest ARM Cortex-A72 processor. So where some other companies are using that CPU and positioning that as their premium tier part, for us that's really more in the high tier segment. And you'll see us actually redefine the premium tier as we move to our next chipset. But it doesn't just stop at modem and CPU. As you know, we've taken an approach to really integrate as many technologies as we can into the SoCs over time. And so we're also aggressively driving the feature sets from the 800 tier down into the 600 and 400 tier. So just a couple of things to point out here. Both the new Snapdragon 620 and the 425 utilize our X8 LTE modem. So a very high performance modem into these tiers. They both support dual ISP camera, Wi-Fi with multi-user MIMO, and as I said, I talked about the CPU on the 620. So you'll see us continue to aggressively drive this feature set across the mid and lower tiers as well. And these devices are expected, or these chips are expected to be in devices that ship towards the end of later part of 2015. So obviously 4K has been gaining a huge amount of traction. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning. So we decided there's about 150 million 4K enabled phones that shipped in 2014. And so back in October, we decided to launch a contest for people to actually shoot 4K quality video with their Snapdragon enabled phones and submit that. And we got a good number of submissions from a lot of countries around the world, the US, UK, Korea, India, China. And now I would like to show you the winning video.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down, went as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
I don't know about you, but that is truly amazing to me that the quality of that video was shot from your Snapdragon phone. I mean, that's just remarkable what we've been able to achieve with our partners over the last few years. One thing I neglected to mention is the actual video was shown from a Snapdragon-powered tablet onto a 4K projector. So obviously it's not only encoding but decoding and supporting playback as well. So obviously the QRD program has been a big part of the chip business strategy, in particular into emerging regions like China. And as you see us try to drive the feature set down into some of these lower tier chipsets or high tier and mid tier chipsets, including with 4K that you just saw, we're going to continue to support a broad range of chipsets on QRD. So the new 600 and 400 series processors or MSMs that are coming out will have QRDs for them. We're going to continue to support both Android and Windows Phone. The Windows Phone initiative has actually been pretty successful on QRD with over 30 designs launched using the QRD platform. And on top of that, we've decided to implement on the QRD platform some of the UI features and enhancements of cyanogen. So it's another ability for companies to look at a differentiation outside of some of the alternatives that are available. So the QRD program continues to be very strong. We've got over 1,000, almost 1,100 QRD-based products that have launched in over 20 countries. So this will be a key focus for the company going forward as we continue to penetrate the emerging market volumes. So let me shift gears and talk a little bit about the A10. I won't go through all the feature sets. We did that at CES, and I think you've heard quite a bit about that over the last few months. But the one thing I wanted to emphasize is we're getting a tremendous amount of traction on the A10. It really is the most advanced mobile processor and integrated solution in the market, and certainly that we've launched. We've got a broad range of companies that are really interested in supporting the A10. Obviously HTC, Xiaomi, LG, Motorola, Sony, Oppo, and Microsoft have all talked about working on designs using the A10. And some of those have already been announced, including the LG G Flex 2, the HTC One M9, which was announced yesterday, and the Xiaomi Mi Note Pro. And you'll see over the course of the show, as well as the coming months, a number of other designs launched into the market using this chipset. So we're very happy with the traction it's getting, and it's really, again, I think from our perspective, redefined the premium tier feature set. So with that, I would like to actually invite Peter Chow, CEO and co-founder of HTC, up to the stage, talk a little bit about some of the benefits he sees out of the A10, and talk to you also about the One M9 that was launched yesterday. Peter?
Good morning. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you here. So I'm actually very excited to hear what Qualcomm today, unveiling is the latest, the greatest, amazing Snapdragon 10. And we've been working together so hard last year and fine-tuning all these features and make sure that we get the best performance, the lowest power consumption. And so we just launched HTC One M9 yesterday, and that is going to use A10 as well. And this is a really amazing, impressive solution. I want to congratulate Qualcomm's team for this, tremendous job they have done pushing the boundaries to get this. And you saw some of those video created. It is just amazing. And some people may think, oh, this is overpowered. But smartphone is getting powerful. And we need to support all these videos and graphics and all these resolutions. And of course, network technology is really pushing up, and it was just have to support so much band and here in China and US and different countries. And so this chip actually make our life a lot easier, supporting multiple bands all together and pushing up the network speeds. And Qualcomm and HTC, we have a long-standing relationship and partnership. We have this DNA, this engineering DNA or innovation DNA. We just have this passion, endless passion, want to push the boundary. And I remember 17 years ago, in Paul Jacobs, we created the very first wireless handheld device in Qualcomm San Diego lab. And it was a brick. It was ugly, and I joked to Paul, "Hey, we are doing this for military." I said, "Why is that?" And I said, when soldiers out of bullets, and they can kill enemy with this one. So we had a lot of fun, But we work together. We change the industry. So at that time, there's no such kind of smartphone yet. We call wireless handheld, PDA or whatever. But today, smartphone totally transformed the way people live, and we was not able to imagine about that. So Derek just mentioned that when they created this CDMA technology, they had considered the internet architect there since a long time. Nobody has an idea of what we are going to use it. And then we did that. We have worked together so much. Together the wearables and Internet of the Things and all played. So Qualcomm and HTC, we have such long-standing partnership, and that was started from 17, 18 years ago, and that relationship is just never been strong. I remember one more thing that, 15 years ago, Paul Jacobs and Urban, and we are in the room, and we're talking about this virtual reality. And we're talking about we want to build wearable computers and with HEMA, micro display and all these, and that was 15 years ago. But yesterday, HTC, we launched HTC Vive, this virtual reality headset, and this will define the virtual reality game. And now, this one is real thing. This is not a concept. And this is actually very light, and we believe virtual reality will totally transform the way we interact with the world. And this will become a mainstream experience for general consumers. And the possibilities will be limitless. Either you viewing an awesome sceneries or attending real-time concert or watching World Cup, football, and learning histories or educations or watching brand new 3D movies never existed before, and 3D chatting is coming, and even shopping experience will never be the same with virtual reality. So this will change the way people viewing this. And then we continue to work with Qualcomm, and I look forward that the future Snapdragon, then we can put a lot of solution with this virtual reality. So again, congratulations, thank you. So hope you guys have a good show. Thank you.
Peter said, the relationship with HTC, the partnership we've had for many years has been tremendous, and we also see a very large opportunity for augmented reality. Obviously, you've seen us roll out the Vuforia platform and build that ecosystem over the last number of years. But also, we're investing very extensively in computer vision technology, and we see a lot of opportunity for that, including eyewear, as well as things like drones, robotics, and automotive. So really exciting things ahead that we're all going to be excited to talk about in future shows. So let me talk about another first. One of the things that we're demonstrating at the show is actually the first ultrasonic fingerprint technology. We call it the Snapdragon Sense ID 3D fingerprint technology. That's a long one. But it's exciting for a number of reasons. And I'm going to talk about a couple of them, but then I'm actually going to show you a video that'll probably do a better job explaining it than I can. But really, this is a new solution that really ups the game on security, and it's an on-device solution that really gives a lot of design flexibility and offers pretty big improvements over the capacitive touch solutions that are out there today. You know, it's got the ability to actually, because it's ultrasonic, it has the ability to actually look and find sweat glands in your fingers, ridges in your fingerprint. But it can also go through a number of different kinds of metal and plastic and glass, and so it gives a lot of different design options that don't exist today. And it also is not bothered by, you know, like grease or lotion or other things that are on your hands that some of the capacitive touch solutions today struggle with. So we're very excited about this. We're demonstrating this at the booth as well. And we think this will be a tremendous opportunity. We expect to see devices actually in market later this year with this technology. So again, I think this is another industry first from Qualcomm, and let me just show you the video so you get a little better sense of what it's all about.
Qualcomm Snapdragon Sense ID 3D fingerprint technology is the mobile industry's first biometric security platform based on ultrasonic technology. It is designed to provide passwordless authentication to better protect user data. It uses ultrasonic sound waves to directly penetrate the outer layers of the skin, capturing three-dimensional details that are not possible to capture with current capacitive touch-based fingerprint technologies. This generates a highly detailed surface map of the fingerprint, which is extremely difficult to imitate or spoof. Sense ID 3D fingerprint technology has the ability to successfully scan and match the fingerprint through different materials, providing innovative and elegant industrial design options for device manufacturers. It has the ability to power through common contaminants that might be present on the finger, like sweat, condensation, hand lotion, and more, creating a more accurate scan than capacitive touch-based solutions. Utilizing the Qualcomm Secure MSM technology and the FIDO Alliance UAF protocol integrated in Snapdragon processors, it also enables more secure and convenient online access for end users. Sense ID 3D fingerprint technology, the first mobile biometric security solution based on ultrasonic technology, providing passwordless authentication, designed to better protect user data and provide an easier and more reliable user experience.
So as you can see, this technology really has the ability to revolutionize the way we deal with on-device security. And wouldn't it be great to not have to think about all the various passwords to get into your device that you have to change over time? So we're really excited about this. We think you know, there's a big future for this technology going forward. Let me talk about another very interesting technology platform that we believe is also an industry first. We're going to be showcasing at the show also our Qualcomm Zeroth platform. I think the way to think about this is we've been continuing to evolve our computing experience, and obviously we've been doing heterogeneous computing in our chipsets for some time. But now we're going to look to leverage that platform to add cognitive computing. And this really is a technology that, you know, includes machine learning and other features that will allow your device to really personalize itself over time and become much more useful to us than they are today. And there's a huge number of different use cases that can be supported by this. And just think about how all of this would be done on device, by the way. It's not going back to the cloud and leveraging you know, the cloud infrastructure. It's on device, so the privacy, the security, and the personalization kind of all goes together. It's a very powerful platform. But I think the two things to remember are this is a very wide platform. Although we'll start in certain segments, we believe that this will scale not only in smartphones and tablets, but across automotive and a number of other sectors as well. And we also think it will drive a number of very interesting use cases. But we're going to start with just talking about a few, so I want to invite Raj Challuri, Senior Vice President of Product Management, up to the stage to talk about a couple of the kind of nearer-term use cases that we expect to power with the Zeroth platform.
Good morning, very exciting to be here and talk about the Qualcomm Zeroth platform. You know, let me take a couple of minutes to explain the platform and what it is. This is actually, as Derek mentioned, a learning platform and basically the concept of cognitive computing. What we've done here is we've gotten a deep learning-based neural network that's actually running on the Snapdragon machine and not on the cloud. It runs all on the device. There are applications right now that you see working in the cloud that uses deep learning, like speech recognition and so on. But we feel that when we were able to build that technology and get it to work on Snapdragon and use all the heterogeneous compute elements of Snapdragon, you can do a lot of interesting things. And the phones now have the ability to learn and personalize themselves so that they can become a lot more personal device for you as you start using them. So the first, there are many applications, as the Derek mentioned. We'll show a couple of them today, actually in demonstration. So what we did is, we've got this technology that we've been investing for a while, and we got it running on Snapdragon 810. And Anita will show a couple of demos. The first demo we're going to show is when you apply this technology to a feature in phones that we all love to use, which is camera. One of the problems of cameras is that there's a lot of technology in Snapdragon and in the smartphones to take a great picture, but many times you don't quite get the right picture because you don't detect the scene well. So what I mean by that is, if you're taking a picture of outdoor, either you're taking a picture indoor, if you're taking a picture of a person, or a building, or sky, a lot of digital SLRs do that well because they got this big mode that's called a scene mode that you set in and set to what scene you're taking a picture. Most people don't use that feature in smartphones because it's very cumbersome to use. So we've used Zeroth technology here to essentially do automatic scene detection. So what the product does is, here as Ananta is showing the demo, we have a few pictures. It's kind of hard to replicate it here. So we have a few picture cards like that, and you can just imagine a scene like this outside. And this is a real live demonstration where we are pointing Snapdragon 810 tablet at this device, at this picture, and you can see it automatically detects that sky and architecture, there are no people visible, and it does it real time. Now, if you have it in your phone and you're out here shooting pictures, you can see that we can use that information to really set a lot of the camera parameters so it always takes the right picture. Here actually, you can see that this is actually live, and you can see the fruits are live. We just put them out here, and you can see that it actually detects food. You can detect lots of other things like that. Like, for example, we can detect here a watch. So when you put it out there, it actually show no people visible, watch on the wrist. Now, we've chosen 30 to 40 different situations that we've trained this platform on thousands of images and varying different conditions. And that learning is captured on this in this technology on the device. And now when you launch these devices, you start taking pictures. They always set the right scene mode, so you always get that perfect picture. And that's actually very powerful, not only because of the great picture taking, but it actually learns as you use it more. In the future we can add those capabilities so that your camera gets better and better for the things that you use it for most. Now another example of that is, let's say we want to do things like face recognition. A lot of times, you take pictures of your friends, you post them on Facebook, then you got to go in and tag them. Sometimes it runs on the cloud in real time, and it does, you can actually tag. But here, it's actually recognizing that on the device, and I'll see if I can stand next to her. I get in. There you go. So now think about that. Think about having a phone where it's constantly updating itself to all your friends and all your, close, people that you take pictures of. As you start taking pictures on the device, it recognizes that, and then you're able to use that. So that's just the tip of the iceberg and the kind of things you can do when you have a learning machine built into your phone. There's a few other demonstrations in the Qualcomm booth. I really encourage you to come and see that. But once we launch this, you can imagine that this can be used not just in phones, but things at home, in IoE, in automotive, and so many other cases. So I'm going to stop it there and let you think about what other things it can be used for. But thank you for the time.
Thanks, Raj. So I'm going to try to wrap up here with a little bit of a teaser on the next premium tier chipset that we expect to sample at the end of the year, end of 2015. And by the way, this will be the first chipset that is optimized for the Zeroth platform, the cognitive computing platform that we just talked about. But in addition to that, it's going to have our custom Kryo CPU, which we've talked a little bit about over the last few weeks. And it will also be on the leading node FinFET process technology. In addition, you'll see us up the game on a lot of the other feature sets across the camera, across gaming, connectivity, all the other feature sets as we typically do. So we're very excited about this part. It's coming later in the year, and I think again we feel that this will once again redefine the premium tier feature set going forward. So with that, obviously we had a number of announcements that you've seen come out. We talked about several of them today. But I think we are very, very excited about all of the new technologies that we're going to be demonstrating here, many industry firsts. And really, if you look at it, these are the technologies that are similar to things that have been the root of the company forever. And they're technologies that we believe are needed to drive the industry forward. And I think if you come by the booth, which I really encourage everybody to come see these things in person, it's much better than listening to me explain them to you. You will see the power of the technology that Qualcomm is investing in, and a lot of cool things to come. So with that, I will take a little bit of time to take some questions. I think we have a few minutes to do that.
We'll now take questions from our media guests. Please identify yourself and ask one question only.